Frank Bonada here. Joining me today is UFC heavyweight Jared Vanderaa. Jared, I know it's quite early over there for you, but how's it going?
I was doing all right. Still trying to get my morning coffee in me. One cup down, and I got like five more to go.
Brilliant. So, yeah, the main reason I wanted to have you on today was as of late, I think for most of your UFC career so far, you haven't really, pushed for fights on social media that much. You occasionally mentioned a couple of names, but I feel like you've been mentioning Alan Badout quite a lot as of late, and he's actually replied. So why him in particular?
I like the fact that he's a Muay Thai guy, and I think him and I could actually have a good fight, like a fun fight. And he's a judo guy, so he does have some throws, but like I've gone against judo guys and I've gone against wrestlers. Now wrestlers they tend to have better top pressure, better control. And I mean, let's be real here. My last two fights with people with wrestling backgrounds didn't go so well for me. But I think going against a judo guy, I can actually show my jujitsu a little bit more. So I just think I just thought that was like maybe a better fight. And he fought a week after I did. And so I just figured, yeah, you know what? He has enough time to recover. I had enough time to recover. I was like, this seems a little bit more practical. Now, Parker Porter was definitely on the table, but because I did lose, even though it was a split decision, I did lose. I figured I'd go with someone else that lost, not necessarily someone that's coming off a victory, because in a sense, I don't know how the pecking order works necessarily. So it's just easier to go, okay, we both lost. Now let's, put one of us back in the winning column.
Have you had any sort of response from the UFC higher up so far about it?
Nope, nothing.
Fair enough.
But I just figured I'd just put it out there. If we get people behind it, then it maybe entice the UFC a little bit more. And like, I mean, me and is it Alan or Alon?
I think John Anik says Alan Badout.
Yeah, but I mean, we're not necessarily household names, so it is going to be pretty hard to get traction. But even if we get a little traction, I think might be better than nothing.
Yeah, no doubt. Badout suggested UFC 275, which is probably in Singapore, as a potential destination for the fight. What are your thoughts of that?
Fuck that shit. That is an 18-hour flight. I fucking hate flying. Hate flying. Like my least favorite activity to do. But I will say this. Like the one thing that kind of does really like helps me in a fight is being so nervous about the flying part that the fighting part is so much easier. I was like, I hate and I utterly hate flying. Uh, I, I checked at LAX and it was like 18 hours, but I should have checked at maybe like San Diego. It might be like 16 or 17 hours. So I'm like, but I mean, regardless, trying to get on like a big card like that, I think, having somewhat more of a name, either of us would have helped. If anything, if we do get on, it's going to be like an early prelim or a prelim fight. Um, and I mean, I think he does have a little bit more connections in the Asian market, but still, I definitely need to have more of a. I think this fight's going to be more of a fight night.
Mhm.
Okay, just wait a few minutes, please, baby girl. Wait. Sorry about that.
No
But yeah, I think more realistically would be a fight night card if it does happen. Either way, I think if it does happen one way or another, it's going to be a fun fight.
Mhm. It would make a lot of sense. I don't know when Cyril Garner's back next, but you know, Badout's a teammate of his, so potentially on an undercard of one of his fights if they do one in the US. Just on the topic of what you mentioned there about the thought of flying and taking your mind off a fight. So what is the most you've flown to a fight and before in your career as a fighter, and what sort of experiences have you had?
I think my longest flight was to Johannesburg the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It rounded out to be like 28 hours, I think.
Wow.
It was just like the analytics of getting there was just so dumb. Like I flew from San Diego to JFK, which is in New York, and I think it took that about like 8 hours or something stupid. And then from JFK to Johannesburg was like another 18-20 hours. And that was literally like my second or third flight really ever. And I just like, oh my God. And the plane that I was on, just it was a horrible plane. And yeah, no, like 18, and then my coach couldn't come. I left for South Africa for like 2 weeks. So like the first week I was there by myself, and I had to fucking, I was there like a whole week. My coach came a week later, and I was just like, so I was flying 18 hours by myself. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And then I lost my DS at the time. I lost my battery charger. My phone died. So I was just losing my shit in the plane. I'm like, oh my God. And then all the connective wiring in the plane to like charge those things were broken. My TV screen was broke. Oh my God. It was a rough time. And I'm just like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's left you scarred. I also want to ask, who made the poster? You posted a cool little black and white poster of yourself and Badout.
My Muay Thai coach, he's a graphic designer.
Nice.
And it was like, yo, hey, him and I'm like, I want to make a call out to this guy. And he was like, all right, made a poster real quick. And I was like, all right, thanks, man. And then I, try to use that. I didn't know which means was best for Alan, if it was Instagram or Twitter. I've been trying to use Twitter more. I just feel so narcissistic using it. or like it's like, here, let me spew my entitled thoughts. Listen to me. That's really what Twitter is. It's like, I'm gonna release a statement. Listen to me. Like one tweet I don't feel too bad. It was last night due to the fact that it was St. Patrick's Day. I don't know how hard you guys go.
We don't.
No. Well, in the States, fucking people go way too hard. Like everyone's Irish today, or like yesterday. Like, oh, we're all Irish. I'm like, no, the fuck you're not. Shut the fuck. But they go a little too hard here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, don't be a cunt, don't drink and drive.
I did see the tweet. I wondered what it was referring to, but yeah, it makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah, no, because as a bouncer, I hated dealing with people that were so intoxicated that tried to drive.
Of course.
Yeah, no, I remember dealing with this one dude. I tried everything. Eventually, I took away his keys, but no one told me that he had another set of keys. And he gets on his motorcycle, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I can't stop you. But you know what? I hope you fucking crash and die. And he was like, I can't believe. I'm like, no. I was like, I hope you crash and die and don't hurt anyone, because if you hurt someone, I'm beating your fucking ass. And he was like, yeah, I can't believe you said I died. I'm like, you're too fucking drunk. And I mean, he could not even stand straight. Like he looked like the fucking Eiffel or the Leaning Tower of Pisa, just waiting to fall over. I'm like, yeah. So that was what the tweeter message was.
Yeah. Also on Twitter, seeing that you started playing, or at least had a crack at Elden Ring. How's that been for you?
Fucking horrible. Like I've done 3 mini dungeons and I fucking, but for the love of fucking God, I cannot beat the first fucking boss. And I'm also one of those players that play by myself, and I got the tarnish, right? Is it tarnish? Like I got the very last character in Elden Rings where all the stats are equal.
Hello.
And so I'm one of those players that I don't level up just one stat.
Mm-hmm.
I level up all the stats. So like my character right now has like predominantly all level 14.
Oh no.
So like I'm like level like 30, but I have like 14 like, and so none of my attacks do anything. I'm just like, I'm getting my ass handed to me every goddamn 10 seconds. So right now, like I'll be playing that and switching through Elden Rings and Horizen.
Oh yeah. How's Horizon? The new one?
Yeah.
How's that going?
I enjoy it. I like it because both games kind of complement each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good. Like when I'm getting frustrated with one of the games, I just switch to the other one.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
See, like Elden Rings, you expect to die all, so you're not like, oh my God, I'm dying. So like, but like when I started going chasing a bunch of fucking dinosaur robot things, and then I go attack the big strong ones because why not? I get my ass stomped out twice. I'm like, fuck this game. We're gonna play a game that I know it's okay to die in.
Yeah, no, Elden Ring's a tough one. Like after work, I'm like, oh, stress relief, go play some games. Stick on Elden Ring and get more stressed than you were before.
Yeah.
Yeah, good fun though. Went way off on a tangent there. I also wanted to ask you, in the aftermath of the Arlovski fight, I did see you sort of posted the stats to your story with a bit of like a quizzical, skeptical emoji face. Were you not completely happy with the judge's decision in that one?
No, I like watching the fight. Like, I think I posted it just because every goddamn other person was like, "Oh, you like he outstruck you more." Like, I actually had people trying to tell me that he threw more punches. And I'm like, no, I threw more. Like, I legitly have a lot more strikes than him. Like, I think it was like roughly like 30 to 50 more strikes than him. The only thing he had, I think, like 5 more significant strikes to the head or something like that. And I'm just like, okay, that's, to be honest, I don't know the criteria of what's considered a significant strike or not. So I will put that out there. But it was just one of those things where hearing everyone like, oh, you did outstrike him. I'm like, yes, I did. I controlled him. And I didn't control him 1 round. I controlled him all 3 rounds. But I will also state that I could have done more. I think in the second round, even if I did a takedown and held him down for 5 to 10 seconds, I think that would have been enough to secure me that round and the 3rd round. And then, I would have been like, if then I would have lost, I would have been a lot more upset by it. But after I watched the video a few times, I was like, you know what? I think I could, like, watching it, I could understand the split decision. I could have done more. Now, do I want to sit there and be like, oh, I won that fight 100%? No, I could see where I left doubt in one of the judges' minds. So I do get that. Um, and it is hard when you get a lot of people saying you won, but that's kind of the issue with a split decision. You allowed, you did not sway one of the judges good enough to make you seem like you won the fight.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. Yeah, it was sort of clearly one round apiece, and the middle round is up in the air. I know I sort of spoke to you beforehand, and you said there was no concern about getting cut by the UFC or anything, but did that go through your head a little bit, getting worried because as we said, like what is it, 2-fight losing streak is always a bit of a concern.
Oh yeah. I think the fact that I've been a company man, that's definitely helped. Yeah, no, like, and I need to put myself, and this is kind of why I went with Alan. I feel like taking a fight with him, I have more chances of winning with that fight than, let's say, Parker Porter. Now, I think I could beat Parker Porter just as I could beat Alan Badout. But I will say this about Parker: he takes punches left and right. He's a tank in all regards. And that just means it's going to be a hard, drawn out fight. Whereas Alan Badout, I could possibly TKO him and knock him out. And who knows? I can maybe take him to the ground and submit him. I like Parker. If I take him to the ground, it's going to be a fight for the submission, fight for the control, because I know he's like a brown belt, black belt. So I mean, there's that complication there. Like I said, he's a tank. He fucking takes a lot of punishment. So between Parker Porter and like Alan Badout, it's like, all right, I could take either of these guys, but out of these two, which one might be more favorable? Alan Badout. Now, if they offer me Parker Porter, fuck it, we're fighting Parker. If they offer me someone else, we're fighting that person. Like, I know originally I called out Tanner Bosner, but then I got the Arlovski fight. He got what's that Brazilian cat's name? He did beat Alan Badout by knockout, and then got suspended for ADH.
Yeah, I know who you mean.
I forget the dude's name. He's like 8-1.
Nascimento.
Yeah, that dude. I knew everything about him except his name. So I originally called up Tanner. I just think that would be fun, and I think him and I like to throw jabs at each other just because he's Canadian and I'm from California. But yeah, no, that right there, I thought it would be a fun fight. Alan Badout, again, I think stylistically, we have the tools to make it an exciting fight. So I feel like those were some good call outs on my end.
Yeah.
But I'll take whoever they want.
Fair enough. Just one more question from me. Always grateful for you giving up your time. We've sort of previously spoken about your love of anime and manga and all those sort of things. What do you think when you hear guys like Sean Strickland? I think it was a month or two ago, he properly went off against people who were into that sort of stuff. Said some quite derogatory comments. What are your thoughts when you hear that?
Those were my mangas or my anime stuff that he was talking shit about.
True. No, I'm not saying yours, but I'm just saying in general. Is there people who watch?
Yeah, no, actually, no. One, like, he made a huge post, was actually off of one of my
anime. Right.
Yeah. But I know me and him are actually friends, teammates at one point. There's a lot of things that come out of Sean's mouth that I don't agree with. I just know that Sean's being Sean, and Sean's very opinionated on things. And I mean, some of the stuff that he says isn't necessarily too crazy to believe. especially about anime. Like there's some things that he brings up that I can't sit there and be like, oh, he's entirely wrong.
Mhm.
I'm like, he has a point, but the difference, like, I'm aware that he's bringing up a valid point. I'm also aware that he has his own opinions, and he's allowed his opinions, no matter how fucked up and weird they are. He's still allowed to have them. So, I mean, if one person like him doesn't care about anime, whatever. It's not meant for everybody. I mean, like, there's plenty of people that don't like MMA. I'm not going to get mad. I'm like, oh my god, you don't like MMA? How could you? It's not everyone's cup of tea, and I think we shouldn't be like it has. You have to enjoy it like I do. That's the wrong mindset. It's like, all right, you don't have to enjoy it, and I mean, that's how I feel about it. And honestly, especially nowadays with a lot of these anime fans, like they're so toxic, and it sucks to say this, being an anime fan, and I would say I'm an OG because I've been watching that shit for a fucking long minute, and it's really fucking annoying to hear like some of these kids come up to me like, oh, I watched this anime. I'm like, yeah, so did I. It's like, well, I watched this. I had one kid go, I've watched 160 animes. I'm like, all right. I'm like, that's cute. I'm like, let me guess, Crunchyroll, Funimation. He was like, yeah. He was like, no, just Funimation. I'm like, well, I also have Crunchyroll. I've watched a lot of animes that are not intermingled. Now they are. Okay, that's for those people that are watching. They're like, they're working together now. I already know. But this is before Crunchyroll,
Yeah.
before Funimation were such a strong powerhouse that you would have to go online, find these weird anime sites just to even watch them. Everything was subs, and the subs were like iffy. The dubs were even worse, and you're just like, oh, okay, let's just watch it, enjoy it. And I've been doing that for fucking 10 plus years, and then now that Funimation, Crunchyroll were a lot more valuable or viable, I have those now, and I just hear these guys openly act like, oh yeah, I like anime, I'm the biggest fan. And then you start talking to them, and then you realize they only know 3 anime, and it's like, oh, My Hero Academia, Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm like, they're not terrible animes. I'm not going to knock you for liking them, but I am going to sit there and tell you that you are not a real anime fan if you only know 3. Like, you could be a fan of those 3 anime. Does not make you a full anime fan.
Like the equivalent of a MMA casual, you'd say people who know Conor McGregor and Adesanya.
Yeah, like you could be a massive Izzy fan or a massive Conor McGregor fan, and you could easily not like like the rest of the sports. You could just like their personalities.
Mhm.
There's something about their characters that you enjoy, but I wouldn't call you a real anime fan. Like if you're like a fan of me, and then you're a fan of Jeremy Stevens, and then you're a fan of like Henan Ferreira, or like you start bouncing around these different promotions, or even if I'm like, all right, you could be a fan, like other fighters, other different things. I'm just like, all right, like you could be a fan. Hell, even if it's just UFC, I could kind of still wrap my head around you being an MMA fan, but liking 1 or 2 things, I don't call you an official fan. I'd say you're a fan of X, Y, and Z, not necessarily the whole.
Got it. Ah, as very interesting. Thank you so much for your time, Jared. As always, really appreciate you coming on. And as always, if there's any sort of plugs you'd like to throw out there, feel free.
You could follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all under Jared Vanderaa. I try to respond. I don't always respond. Don't get upset if I don't respond. That's became a thing lately. They're like, "Oh, you don't respond to me." I'm like, "I'm sorry, I'm fucking busy." And And certain things I post, some of them get 0 to no traction, while others get fucking like, especially TikTok. It goes from fucking no traction to all that traction. And like I get some people that like on my Facebook, I'm fucking absent from my Facebook. I like anything that's posted on my Facebook is because of my Instagram. I get people on it, my Facebook, like, why don't you respond to me? Why don't you love me? I'm like, I actually had like a full on like letter of how they're not a fan of me because I just stopped. Like, I'm like, I've made a bunch of posts. Like, I'll periodically put a post like every 2 to 3 months saying, hey, thanks everyone for the support. I am not active on my Facebook as much as I should be. If you want me to like respond or talk to you, please go to like my Instagram, my TikTok, hell, even my Twitter. I'm a little bit more active on because it's fucking drier than fucking bones. So it's easier to maintain a lot of that. And even then, I'm pretty sure if I go into my Twitter, I have like 3 unread messages from like 6 months ago. Um, so just wait. I will maybe respond to you.
Yeah, and let's try get some traction on the Badeau fight. You know, if you are watching this, go and like and share all that, and let's get it going. Thanks, Jared. And yeah, best of luck getting this fight booked.
Thank you, sir. You have a lovely day.
You
Get some
too.
sleep.